Well, guys, we're already almost halfway through February in 2026, which means Scream 7 is only a couple of weeks away. And we've been talking about this movie for the past few months. We're kind of slowly building our channel around it. But something that most fans have noticed with this movie is the lack of marketing. For the longest time, up until most recently, we really haven't had any. Now, this begs the question, was this, I'll say, alternative structure to its marketing compared to at least the previous two movies a genius move, or was it a bit of a misfire? And let me get a little bit more into what I mean by that. So the typical, I guess you can call it, marketing pattern for at least the last two Scream movies was a first trailer that came with a teaser poster, and then not long after we would get a second trailer which would come with what I call the Avengers poster, which is essentially all the characters in the movie in one poster, like the collage with Ghostface typically in the center or up top. And then after that we'd have some TV spots and maybe some photos, but that's about it. Well, with this one, we got our first trailer, I believe it was at the end of October. It was like around Halloween. We got our trailer and we got our teaser poster. And that's about a 4-month gap between first trailer and the movie coming out, which is pretty standard. The standard is typically 3 to 6 months for our first trailer. You know, that way, or at least a teaser, that way you don't lose the momentum too early. But naturally, everybody was wondering, when is the second trailer going to drop? I think that there was maybe 3 or 4 different rumored release dates of when we were supposed to get it, and we just never did. And before we knew it, we were entering January, and everyone's like, all right, well, what the hell? We haven't seen anything for this movie, and it's right around the corner. What the hell is happening? Now, initially, I was kind of assuming that maybe this was due to maybe some kind of restrictions in terms of the marketing budget, because as big as the Scream movies may be within the horror community, they're still actually really small movies. The budgets usually don't even reach $50 million. The first one I think was made for $7 million. And their box office return is, I think the highest grossing one right now is still the last one, and I think that was maybe 120 million. My point is that this isn't the kind of $100 million marketing budget that say a Marvel movie would have. And Paramount is strapped for cash in certain areas. But I noticed in the past couple weeks that instead of the typical structure like I had mentioned earlier, they seem to be focusing heavily on kind of partnerships and almost like brand deals. The metalcore band Ice Nine Kills, who, if you follow them, they've kind of built a career in more recent years on making their music that revolves around horror movies. And Spencer Charnas, who is the lead singer, is a massive Scream fan. And they announced recently that they are going to be releasing an official song for the soundtrack featuring, I believe it's Mackenzie Grace, I think is her name, from the movie. So you have that. They did a partnership with UFC, which, I mean, you don't even have to be a UFC fan to acknowledge how massive that sport is. So you're now reaching that audience. They partnered up with some kind of motocross athlete. I don't know the correct terminology for it because I don't know sports. So in a nutshell, it's almost like they're taking different routes to reach other demographics besides just the typical movie fans, because besides, you know, the interweb circles of movie people who follow all the news, who know all the details, there's still the general public that may not even know there is a Scream 7 coming. they're not going to know any of the behind the scenes drama. They're not going to know really why these people are still in it, but these people aren't. So you got to finesse a little bit, I guess. Now they're reaching the UFC audience. Now they're reaching the motocross. Now, I mean, typically if you listen to Ice Nine Kills, more than likely you like Scream already, but now you're reaching that audience. And I'd made a couple short films, or not short films, but short videos for the channel, sort of going through the marketing, and one of our followers suggested that Super Bowl, which is prime time to drop a new trailer, would be the next one. And lo and behold, like a couple days later, they announced there's going to be a trailer. Wasn't much of anything new. Basically, a lot of the same footage, just kind of cut differently. But today alone, or at least the past couple days, they've just been bombarding with different kinds of posters. Now they're marketing for a like Scream 7 fan event at like opening night, where you'll get like a poster and some other like memorabilia. And this is very interesting, but still begs the question: was this a smart move, or was this a misfire? Because Scream fans are saying that, this marketing is embarrassing. There was, next to nothing about this movie being put out. And while yes, in certain ways that is true, but if you're going to have more than likely, very limited marketing budget, you're going to want to utilize it. Let's face it, the behind the scenes drama from like a year and a half, 2 years ago with Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega, like, let's face it, that left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. You're still going to have all those people that are like boycott Scream 7, which we all know they're still going to show up opening weekend, but that's a whole different video. I don't think that this was necessarily a misfire, but I don't know if it was the smartest move. And with the movie only a couple weeks away, supposedly the tracking right now for opening weekend is going to be about $30 million, which is right around where the 5th movie opened, but still a little bit lower than the 6th. It's overall in the normal Scream range, so I wouldn't say there's much cause for alarm. And this movie, if it turns out to be really, really good and has some good word of mouth, it can have some decent legs for a while. And I know we live in a time where if you don't make $1 billion on, opening weekend, the movie's a flop. But let's face it, as I said before, this is a smaller movie, which means smaller budgets, which means you gotta hope that, it becomes kind of like a water cooler conversation where, yeah, I saw Scream 7 over the weekend and it was a banger. Oh, okay, well, now maybe this person who was kind of on the fence is like, oh, I guess I will go catch it. And now them and their buddy, or them and their significant other, or whomever, goes and catches the movie. Marketing can be weird because most people don't like anything anymore. So you have to kind of play to whatever crowd you can. And in this case, I think that they just went full force and took a gamble. And in 2 weeks or so, we're going to find out if that gamble paid off, or if they should have just kind of stuck to the usual tropes and lineups in terms of their marketing. Needless to say, I am excited for the movie. I am actually more intrigued by how they went about marketing this movie, and being in a spot right now where like I avoid most trailers because I want to go in as blind as possible most of the time. I acknowledge that Scream trailers are extremely hard to cut because it's a whodunit movie, so they obviously can't show too much footage, because you're already going to have all the people that will watch this movie and be like, I figured out who it was in the first 10 minutes. Like there is with everyone. We all know the guy. But what do you guys think about the marketing so far? Do you think that maybe this is a bit of a brilliant kind of change up? Do you think it's a misfire? Do you not even care? Have you already decided that you hated the movie? I'm sure there's a couple of you out there that have already decided that. Whatever it is, let us know. Time's almost coming, guys. It's almost here. Scream 7. Stu's coming back like everyone's been chanting for 30 years. Are you excited for that? Let us know. Until then, I'll catch you next time.